Hello, welcome to this new video of product team interviews with Microsoft Fabric team. And today we have the pleasure to have Aviv with us here. Hello, Aviv.
Hello, Reza. How are you?
Very nice meeting you. Thank you. It's been a really long journey from the time that I knew you, that you led the Power BI embedded team very long time ago, like many years ago. But now your area in the product has grown quite a lot and you are covering quite a lot of area in Microsoft Fabric. So tell us to our audience who you are, what do you do in the Microsoft Fabric team?
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Reza. So, if we go a bit further back to the history of where I started with Power BI, and the first thing that I was trying to build is an integration between Power BI and Excel. So there was a great story of Power BI and Excel better together. This was both the analyze in Excel and export to Excel. This is how where I started as a PM.
Yeah,
Then
Excel from Power BI as well. Yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
yeah. And then we went on and started working as a team on the Power BI embedded offer
Mm.
for ISVs mainly. And we found out that it's not only ISVs who are looking to embed Power BI into their application, it was also an enterprise
Mhm.
capability that people were looking for. So this is a huge success. We have thousands, tens of thousands of tenants who are doing that today. On top of that, within Power BI, we also build the framework for extensibility of the Power BI reports with custom visuals.
Mhm.
Also, with custom visuals, we see very high numbers of usage and a high number of visuals in the store, and a high number of visuals that enterprises have built for their private use for within their organization.
Internal
So,
usage.
yeah, millions of users for that capability as well.
Mm.
Now, moving into Fabric, a lot of the things that we are doing has grown with the product itself. So we are
Right.
part of the platform team, and as part of that, we own the automation story, the ISV stories, which are extensibility and embedding, and CI/CD for the enterprise. Um, Within these tools, if you want to go and start talking about each one of the offerings that we have.
Mm.
So for CI/CD in Power BI, we started with the deployment pipelines.
Correct.
It's more like an easy tool for deployment between workspaces, deployment of content within workspaces in a parameterized manner. And then going into Fabric, we started building the Git integration, where we are soliciting for each of the items in Fabric to create a file format that makes the whole work on the Fabric items very easy for pro developers, right? So everything could be coded, everything could be used within the development tools outside of Fabric and manage there and full life cycle support for all the Fabric items, and everything is in full sync into Fabric and the live updates that run there.
That's
So that's the main thing, the deployment pipeline and the Git integration. In FabCon this year, we have introduced the new capability of variables library. This is a new item in the workspace that allows a configuration management across environments. So you can define value sets that could be used to parameterize the deployment. So deploying between stages or deploying between environments in a way
mm.
that automatically knows how to read the parameters and align the content to its environment. For
To each of
example,
right.
if you want to deploy from dev to test, and between those environments, you don't only want to make sure that the items connect to each other in the same workspace, or to other items in other workspaces by definition, but you want to make sure that the data that is used with these items is aligned with the environment that you are running it. So
Correct.
that's good.
Just Yeah, just one thing I add for our audience, because CI/CD might not be a term that most of them know. So when we talk about CI/CD, it is like continuous integration, continuous development. It's a way that we can um, speed up the process of moving the content that you are building from your development environment to test and then to production in an easier way, that it doesn't take you, let's say, a week to move between these. And what Aviv and his team is working on is building some kind of like deployment pipelines to help you to migrate that as an easy tool, and also some ways to do that as a automated using scripting and things like that as well, which is great. So sorry that I interrupted you in the middle of your explanation. One of the things, now that we are talking about deployment pipeline, let's talk about that. One of the things is that, well, in deployment pipelines, some of the object types are supported, some of them are not supported. So I just want to clarify this for our audience, that these objects, like all Fabric objects, at some point, they will be all supported, right?
So yeah, so I think the thing to say about that, and it's not only for deployment pipelines, it's for everything around what is CI/CD, or the way to support deployment or moving of content between
Mhm.
environments, has become the center of the Fabric platform. So
Correct.
it was grown into a centric place, and this is where we are doing our best job to onboard all the items. Like there would be no exceptions there. So everyone who is building an item within Fabric needs to be compliant with the CI/CD capabilities within the platform itself. We understand that this is a most common requirement for everyone who is using Fabric, either if you are using the deployment pipelines or the Git integration, or you are using our APIs to automate the whole process of moving your items between workspaces and environments. In any of the cases, you need full support of all the items in the platform. So, number one, yes, we are going to get there. We are at 70% today, and we're going to get to 100% by the end of the next semester. That's part of the bigger plan. And it's not only the integration itself, or the two tools that I've just called out with deployment pipelines and Git integration. It's also the support for the REST APIs that
Mhm.
include SPN support, of course, service principal support, because when you build an automation, you are using service principals, not user principals, as a user that logs in and is trying to do something in the UX. This needs to be supported in the fully automated scenario as well. On top of that, there are other tools that we own, like Terraform. So the Terraform provider is yet another tool that allows deployments of environments. And we have a Terraform provider for Fabric that we have built and GA'd lately, which
Right.
allows a full deployment of content. And again, the same limitation applies today, where not all items are supported. But when we support all items, all the tools will get the support for the full stack of Fabric, and we are
That's
getting
great.
there. We are getting closer. The last tool I didn't mention until now, and is part of the bigger story, is the CLI, the command line interface, which is a declarative and imperative deployment option. Uh, sorry, the CLI tool, sorry, is more like it allows both an interactive mode where you can um, manage the content in your environment, or in a scripting mode where you can integrate it into other deployment tools and run a full script that does the deployment for you. So all of
Yeah.
these will comply with all the items that are now in Fabric. Yes.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I actually really liked the CLI demo in Microsoft Fabric
Mhm.
conference, in FabCon conference. Just again for our audience knowledge, this CLI, you can consider it as like PowerShell for Fabric. This is a place that you can actually code and interact with your Fabric objects. Sometimes you might want to get some information about it. Sometimes you want to manage some of those objects, do some configurations. So it is just announced in FabCon, which is an amazing thing, and it is at its very earliest stages. So it has a great potential and tons of things that you can do with it, which is amazing. I really like that you came with this idea of CLI. Definitely helpful. So,
Yeah,
so based, yeah, go on, please.
actually, the funny thing about that, it's like it began as a nice collaboration between teams within Microsoft. So we have
Mm,
the CAT team and ITOR within the CAT team who is working specifically on lake houses and notebooks, and he came up with an idea. And I started talking with ITOR in I think it was FabCon Europe, where
mhm,
he came to me and said, "Are you thinking about building a CLI component for Fabric? Because I'm looking at it, I'm trying to build something." And then I said, "Wow, this is a great opportunity for collaboration. Tell me the customer story that you are trying to create here." And I took that idea, and we collaborated, and Aitor is wow. The collaboration with him was amazing. He was the one of the biggest contributors to this work, and now we've built it across the board for all of Fabric capabilities, and we own the product. So going forward, we'll continue and evolve it. We already see thousands of downloads of the CLI component, and we already got the initial feedback. First of all, yes, people are expecting it to go to GA, and we are going to get to GA
mm,
in build, or announce GA in build, which is quite fast to move forward with this release process. That's number one. And the next big thing that we were asked for is to make it an open source library. This was the intention from day one, and we had to slice the work in such a way that we'll get it first. We want to get it to the hands of as many as possible customers. We want to make it GA, so it will be a production ready component. And then we'll start working on making it an open source library, because we truly believe that the community could be a great contributor here. And the
that's
plan
great.
is not only to open it for the community to use it for each one for their own needs, but also to try and incorporate and the community's code that's coming in through the open source, and make it part of the product for everyone else to enjoy. So we are kind of trying to mimic the Visual Studio Code
Mm,
way
right.
of work as an open source, and hopefully we'll get a lot of value to customers faster,
That is amazing.
and yeah, with the great help of the community. So
That is great.
stay
One of
tuned
one
for
of
that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a great initiative. And this would be, I think, one of the features that a lot of people would use as we move forward in Fabric. One of the things that I also like to mention, based on what you told us, the story of how this CLI came into place, the idea from Cat team, and then you guys implementing it, is also I want to tell our audience that if you at any time, if you have any ideas about like a feature you would like to see, or even small features, there's a ideas website in Microsoft Fabric. Previously we had it for Power BI only, now we have it for the whole Fabric. The Fabric team is actually watching that space, so make sure that you go and put your ideas there and tag it so that the right team go and see it. And once these ideas get enough votes, the team would start planning for it, implementing it in their pipeline, depending on the priority and things like that. We'll definitely put that in the description below. So that's great. What are so these are like some updates, but what are the roadmap? What do you think would we would have in CI/CD in the future? Things that you can, of
Yeah.
course, talk about.
Yeah. So first of all, and the most important part, as you raised earlier, is align all of Fabric to comply with the CI/CD integration across the board. That's number one. It's the most important thing that we are doing. On top of that, we are now supporting for the Git integration, GitHub and ADO, and we are looking to add support for additional tools. We have additional capabilities to support on-premises providers. That's also something that we are starting to look at. And I think that in most cases you might want to call it the getting the CI/CD to a really mature position where everyone would find everything they are expecting. Another topic that is coming up a lot from customers in Reddit or in direct conversations is the way that we connect branches, the developer scenario of where you want to create a branch for your development phase and how it's connected to Fabric. Today, there are several limitations in that area where the governance is limiting the developers in really being able to create their environment, their somehow, if you want to call it local environments, everything is running within Fabric. And we are trying to find a way to make the developers' life easier and compliant with the regulations of their organization. This is still in early stages, but we have acknowledged that this is an area where we need to make some effort, both for the experience and for the governance space. So this is all I can say about that at this
Yes, yeah,
stage.
of course. Yeah.
Um, if we go back to CLI, then this is taking CLI to GA very soon and then making it an open source is something very important for us. On top of that, we have a .NET SDK, which I haven't mentioned that we are GAing. We want to start building a Python SDK. I think that would be a great addition to the set of capabilities for pro developers as well. And we are trying to push for an integration by building an MCP server for the REST APIs and for the CLI. I can elaborate a bit more about that. The main idea is that we will enable scenarios that allow developers to, write their own, in their own words, what they are trying to do and get the code for that. In both cases, the first one is, of course, using our REST APIs. I think it's important for us to make those APIs publicly available so everyone has the Swagger definition of the APIs of Fabric and
Correct.
can
Yes.
build their whole automation story based on that, either by calling it through an API interface to understand which APIs are available, how to interact with those. So that's one level, and the next level is to bring it to the newer ways of interacting with code these days, and this is what we're looking at. It's removing a lot of the time that it takes today to learn how to write code specifically for any of the areas, even with CLI, where we were trying to make it as accessible as possible. So, for example, using ls to list all the items or make dir to create workspaces. So even in that sense, we've made one step closer to developers and using the commands, the common commands that they are familiar with. But now with an MCP server, we may make it even easier for people to manage Fabric in that way.
That is great.
Um,
A lot of updates for developers, which is great. I really like that.
that's our job. Um, and then I want to get to the other topic, which is something we didn't talk about until now. So maybe it's a good time to start talking about the workload developer kit.
Yes, yeah.
So the workload developer kit in general is the thing that we have built to enable partners, ISVs, enterprises to build experiences that integrate or are embedded into Fabric. The initial thinking there was, if you have anything that you want to run on top of your data, we want to make sure that it's running as close as possible to your data.
Mhm.
That's number one. We want to make it that when you are looking for these applications, you can find them within Fabric. That's number two. And number three is we believe that instead of moving the user between environments because they want to do MDM, which doesn't exist,
Mhm.
master data management,
Yes,
which
yeah.
doesn't exist in Fabric today, but you have a partner solution that does that. So maybe you find it within Fabric, you can run it within Fabric, and it not only runs within Fabric, it looks and feels as a Fabric
Part of the
experience.
fabric. Yes, yeah.
So these are the main pillars for the workload developer kit.
Yeah, that is a good thing. I just want to mention that to our audience that like what this actually means is that when you go to Fabric portal and you choose Fabric, there are like some workloads. All of us seen the workloads, for example, for data engineering, for data integration, data factory, for data warehousing. Now, the things that Aviv and his team is working on that is the ability to customize it. So you can actually build your own workload and embed it here, either as an ISV so that you can sell it like a master data management workload, or somehow in your own enterprise you want to have internal kind of workload, which is a great thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Aviv.
I somehow lost you.
No,
Ah,
I
you're
still have
back.
you here. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. So what are coming new on that ISV side of things? Yeah, the workload for.
So yeah. So today, the thing that we have released allows you to do all of the above that we've just
Mhm.
mentioned,
Yes.
but the architecture that is required for that is a bit. I wouldn't say. I want to say it's not as easy. It fits some of the scenarios because it is based on the fact that you as a developer have your own backend and frontend.
Yes.
And the way the architecture works today is the front end is embedded into Fabric, and this is the experience of consuming the content within Fabric. And the
Mhm.
backend talks to the backend of the application
Mhm.
talks to Fabric's backend. Now, in some of the cases, some of the ISVs love that because they have like a very robust backend engine that runs and does a lot of the work on the data of the customer.
Mhm.
So this serves that set of partners, and you already see that we have something around 12 partner
Yes.
cases in the marketplace. More are coming in build, and we're working with more partners as we speak. We are seeing now something like 200 partners that are trying to build the workload. So we are hoping to extend the offers that we have for our customers
That's great.
from
Yeah.
partners within Fabric. And but it's not enough. We want to get more. And what I mean by that is that we are trying to make the whole development process easier. Not only easier for anyone who wants to build such an experience, but also easier in the terms that you can use uh, parts of what Fabric has to offer. So the
Mhm.
engines of Fabric within your service. How are we going to do that? We are making an adaptation to the architecture that we will provide a default backend for
Mhm.
your for that workload service, and you only need to provide your front end, and that front end could be as light as it runs everything within the front end. But I think the more important point here is that we want to open the ability from that front end to call our REST APIs and allow you to call or run jobs within Fabric on the data, on the customer's data. So this would open the funnel for, I think, hundreds more of cases, both for ISVs, SIs, and the enterprise. we've already heard scenarios where enterprises are looking to utilize this capability instead of building their own web service and web applications within the organization, since this is serving a purpose of enabling a deployment of an environment, for example, in Fabric, they want
Yes,
to have it available in Fabric. So
because
that's an
it makes
enterprise
it
scenario.
even simpler and more straightforward to have it all in here rather than have it separately and then connected together. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So this is where we are taking the development step one further. The other thing that we are trying to find is, or trying to get, is to make it closer to our consumer community, right? So most
Mhm.
of our customers are consumers and are looking for those applications that could be useful for their scenarios within Fabric, and we want to make sure that they discover those workloads, that they have a good way to get like a free experience and play with
Yeah,
those
have a
experience
trial
experiences
experience. Yes,
before, yeah, before they need to pay any partner anything and
correct.
get the value from those partners. So those are other things that we are working on specifically within Fabric to make it discoverable, and with the partners to make sure that the offers that they have in the marketplace are really valuable for our customers. That's the perspective that we are taking with how we want to bridge the connection between these two.
Awesome. That is great. Enabling both ISVs and partner and also consumers to get the most value, which is great.
Mhm.
Fantastic. So we are coming pretty much to the end of our chat here. Anything special that I didn't ask and you would like to mention here?
I think the main point that I would want to call out is that, again, it's not that you didn't mention it, but I want to
Mhm.
emphasize the fact that we are
Correct.
making every effort to hear the customers,
Mhm.
and the work that we are doing is for you, not for
Yeah.
us. Like, there are
Correct.
things that our engineers love doing, but at the end of the day, we want to make our customers' lives or our customer work easier and fun and get the value that they are expecting to get from Fabric. And this is our focus. We get up every day, and this is what we are trying to do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
and
that.
you guys are doing amazing job. We really appreciate that.
Mm,
So
thank you.
for anyone watching this video, the best way to help the team, to help you actually, is to tell them what you are looking for. Like this part of the product, this feature of that you like it, this feature you don't like it, why, what do you think can be improved, and all of that, which you can do that in ideas. We also put Aviv's LinkedIn URL down in the description below, so feel free to connect with him on LinkedIn if you have questions or things like that. He and his team would be definitely uh, available to answer your questions. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Aviv. Really appreciate the time you have provided for us, and really looking forward for all those amazing features to become available.
Thank you, Reza. Thank you
Thank
for
you, and
hosting
thank
me.
you everyone for watching us. Until the next video. Bye.